Hi kids, today I'm going to read Down the Rabbit Hole story for you. Jiffy was a little pixie. He was servant to six of the ugliest goblins you could imagine, and how he worked for them. He lit the fires and made the beds. He scrubbed the floor and cooked the dinner. He cleaned the windows and washed the clothes. Well, really, there was no end to the things he did for the six goblins. One day he had a cold. Dear me, it was really a terrible cold. He sneezed and coughed, and he didn't feel it at all well. Please, he said to the least ugly goblin, may I stay in bed today? I really don't think I can do any work. What? And on marketing day too? Shouted the goblin. Whoever heard of a such thing? Certainly not. So poor Jiffy had to take his basket and go trudging over Bumblebee Common. Just as he passed a big rabbit hole, he stopped. He was going to sneeze. He knew he was. It was coming. It was coming. It was. It was coming again. Achoo! Oh dear. Oh dear. Poor little Jiffy. He sneezed his hat off. He sneezed his ears all crooked. He dropped his basket. He sat down by the rabbit hole and began to cry because he felt so miserable. Mrs. Sandy Rabbit heard him. She popped her waffly nose out of the nearby hole and looked all around to see who had been sneezing. She was a big, fat, motherly rabbit, and she started in surprise at Jiffy. Oh, you ought to be in the bed, she said. They won't let me, said Jiffy. Who won't? Asked Mrs. Sandy Rabbit. The goblins I work for, said Jiffy. What? Those ugly double jointed snaggle toothed creatures? Cried Mrs. Sandy Rabbit. Never you mind about them. You come along down my hole and I'll put you to bed in Fluffy's cot. He's just grown out of it, and you can stay there till you are better. But, 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 began Jiffy. There is no time for buts, said Mrs. Sandy Rabbit. Come along. She showed him down her warm, dark hole to the bottom. Very far down there was a big room. In it were some beds, tables, and chairs, and a bright little lamp. Mrs. Sandy Rabbit undressed Jiffy, put him into pajamas of Fluffy's, and popped him into bed. Then she made him some hot cocoa. How warm he was! How comfortable! How delicious the cocoa was! Nobody had ever made him cocoa to drink before. No one had ever tucked him up before. And what was this? Mrs. Sandy Rabbit was tucking a hot water bottle at his feet. Oh, how perfectly lovely! Suddenly he sat up in alarm. Mrs. Sandy Rabbit, Mrs. Sandy Rabbit, suppose those goblins come for me? Don't you worry, said Mrs. Sandy Rabbit. I'll tell them a few things. Well, of course, the goblins were furious when they found out that Jiffy hadn't come home. There was no lunch for them, no tea, the floor was dirty, their suits were not ironed. Dear, dear, dear. We'll go out and look for him, and what a telling off he'll get when we drag him back, said the goblins. So off they went, and very soon they found his market based basket on the ground outside Mrs. Sandy Rabbit's hole. Oh ho! So he was down there, was he? Down the hole went the six goblins and came to Mrs. Sandy Rabbit's door. They knocked. Blim blam, blim blam. Mrs. Sandy Rabbit opened the door and scowled at them. She pretended that she thought they were bringing the washing back. I hope you have got the clothes clean this week, she grumbled. Where's the basket? Don't tell me you have forgotten it. And dear me, did it take 6 of you to bring it this week? We're not the washing, said the goblins. Oh, then you must be the men come to mend the clock, said Mrs. Sandy Rabbit. Which of you mended it last time? Because whoever it was lost the key. Just wait till I know which of you it was, and I'll pull his nasty little goblin nose for him. The goblins began to feel rather afraid of this fierce rabbit. They spoke quite humbly and politely to her. We haven't come to mend the clock. We have come to ask which way to go to find Jiffy, our servant. He seems to have run away. And I don't wonder, said Mrs. Sandy Rabbit. Well, I'll tell you which way to go and what to do. And though I don't say you'll find Jiffy, if you do what I tell you, you never know. Oh, we'll do exactly what you tell us, Mrs. Sandy Rabbit, said the goblins eagerly. Exactly. Well, go down the passage to the right over there, said Mrs. Sandy Rabbit, pointing. And you'll come to a big tree root. Scrape as hard as you can where you see the root, and you'll come out into a big room of some sort. I don't say you'll find Jiffy there, but you'll find someone, all right? Thank you, said the goblins, and ran off to the right. They came to the tree root and started to dig and scrape for all they were worth. Now, although they didn't know it, a fox and his wife had their den just there, with 6 young cubs. All the rabbits kept away from that particular passage because they knew that on the other side of the wall of earth lived a family of foxes. But the goblins thought that Jiffy was hiding there. So they scrabbled and scraped and dug for all they were worth. The foxes pricked up their ears and waited. Was this rabbits? If so, what a nice dinner! Suddenly the goblins broke down the last bit of earth and squeezed through into a foxhole. The foxes sprang on them and found them to be goblins and not rabbits. Let us go, squealed the goblins, frightened. Where is Jiffy? I don't know who, where, or what Jiffy is, said the fox fiercely. What I want to know is, how dare you make a hole into our den like that? Do you want to be eaten? No, squeaked the goblins, terrified. What shall we do with them? The fox asked his wife. Well, she said, looking at the goblins, there are 6 goblins and we have 6 cubs. That would be a servant for each of them to brush their coats, take them out for walks, and look after them properly. They can either be eaten or be our servants, whichever they please. Well, you can easily guess which the goblins chose. And after that, they acted as nursemaids to the 6 spoiled young foxes, who nipped the goblins' ears whenever they were bad-tempered, which was very often. Jiffy had a lovely time with Mrs. Sandy Rabbit in her cozy little home. His cold soon got better, and he thought he had better to go home again. But when he got to the cottage, it was empty. There were no goblins there at all. Oh, said Jiffy in excitement, the goblins have gone. I'll get Mrs. Sandy Rabbit to come and live here with all her family, and I'll look after them and be as happy as the day is long. So Mrs. Sandy Rabbit and all her fluffy family moved into the goblin's cottage, which was really much more convenient than the dark hole. and there they all lived happily together